So what's interesting about tech is if you take a look, they actually have, when they interview candidates for positions, they have interesting questions they like to ask. They ask very basic interview questions, of course, but they like to ask questions to get you to think, and they want to see exactly how you think. Now, sometimes there's questions like, if you watch the movie The Internship, where they'll tell you, what would you do if you were shrunk down to the size of a nickel and put into a blender, and that blender was turned on? How would you escape? Now, they're not really asking you how to escape. They just want to know what your thought process is, how you think. So they have questions like that, but at the same time, they have questions like, why are manhole covers round instead of square or triangle? Which do have actual answers. The reasons why it's round is so that no matter how you orient it, it wouldn't be able to fall through. And sometimes they ask questions that have a right answer, but even if you get it wrong, they just want to see where your mindset is and how you think. So one of the more key questions that they ask you, say you're a company like Google, for instance, they'll ask, who's our greatest competition? Now that can mean a lot of things. If we're talking about phones, Android and iPhone, obviously competitors there. If you're talking about on the advertising space, Facebook would be one of their competitors there. But the true answer, then the most correct answer, they'll tell you is, our greatest competition is ourselves. Because at the same time, we come up with different tactics to work against some of the things that our competitors are doing. But the key concept that we need to understand is, how do we get our own customers, our own consumers, to continue using our products? If you have the latest Android that you just bought this year, how am I going to convince you to buy the new one next year as well, when it's probably still going to be okay? So when you think about where we are in optometry and where we are in terms of technology and the way we practice, and I ask you right here, the way you're practicing is probably at a very high level. You're definitely taking care of your patients, you're doing right by them, you're providing them with great eye care and eyewear. Why would they keep coming back to you if you're doing such a great job and they don't need an update in their prescription and they don't have any pathology going on? And when you take a look at some of the things that we think of as our competition, whether it's more corporate optometry offices, online sales of eyewear, and if you do things right and you really understand the way your patients think, that it's not about worrying about these different competitors and them trying to steal your patients. It's actually the other way around. How do you stop yourself from losing your patients? Because at the end of the day, if a shiny new office from a vision insurance company pops up across the street, are your patients going to automatically go there if they've been going to you for 10 years? Probably not. But those patients are yours to lose. That's just another option for them to go to if you do something wrong, or if you stop providing that quality care. You know, when was the last time when you talked to a patient, when they walked into your room, that you actually said, how are you doing? Not how are your eyes or how's your vision. How are you doing? Tell me about your day. Tell me about your week. And genuinely meant it. How many times do you actually ask them about what's going on with their lives, not just with their vision? And how many times that when you actually talk to them, you talk to them like a human being rather than a patient? You know, myself, I'll tell you right now that I don't have my patients call me by doctor. I introduce myself as Will. I call them by first name. I feel they get to call me by first name. And because of that, I'm trying to break down that barrier that, yes, I understand, I'm a doctor. I went to school. I earned the right to be called doctor, but I also earned the right to not be called doctor. And if we're going to build a private practice, and we're going to build that relationship, a meaningful relationship with each other, we're going to do that by actually talking to each other like human beings, not doctor to patient, and keep things genuine between us. Because at the end of the day, these patients are my family, but they are mine to lose to these outside competitors if I do something wrong. It has nothing to do with the shiny new OCT that the practice across the street has, the telemedicine that they do. It's everything about what I do for my patients and that relationship we develop. Because I'll tell you right now, if that's where your focus is, if that's what you do, I promise you that you will prevent yourself from becoming your own worst competition, and you will be thriving in your practice and never have to worry about patients leaving you for any reason.